Proverbs 21:24 says, "Proud and haughty scorner is his name, who dealeth in proud wrath." The wrathful man who is driven by his pride instead of by reasonable law and order is a man who gets a reputation or gets a name for being a proud, haughty, arrogant scorner. Such a person scorns God's wisdom and thinks he knows it all. And that's what you'll hear people say about such a man. He thinks he's God. He thinks he knows everything. You can't talk to that man. He's hard-headed and full of himself. And I've heard it put a number of other ways, but there's one thing for certain. Proud wrath is a bad thing. For starters, we've discussed the question of pride a number of times, obviously, in these Proverb devotionals. And it's a difficult matter because people persist in claiming that there's a good sort of pride and a bad sort of pride. For example, a best-selling author whose books are touted as Christian leadership and development material is a guy named John C. Maxwell. And I haven't read his books, but I've seen a quote attributed to him that seems to sum up the view of most professing Christians these days. He says, quote, "There are two kinds of pride, both good and bad. Good pride represents our dignity and self-respect. Bad pride is the deadly sin of superiority that reeks of conceit and arrogance," end quote. But I believe that's like claiming there are two kinds of witches. The black witches and the white witches, with no reference to skin color but to types of witchcraft. Both ideas are false. Take time to look up the use of the word pride in the Bible. And I can only testify to the use of the word pride in the King James Bible. It's hard to tell what the new versions have done with this, but in our King James Bible, do you know the word pride isn't used as a good thing one single time? Not once. You combine that fact with what James 1:20 says, "For the wrath of man worketh not the righteousness of God," and you combine proud wrath, and you've got yourself a mess of trouble, my friend. An extreme example is vigilante justice, lynching people without a trial. Many times the man being lynched is believed to be guilty of committing some terrible crime, murder or rape or something like that. So the mob acts out with proud wrath, and they think they're just enacting swift justice. And they hang him, and he dies. And then later they realize or find evidence to prove that they hung the wrong man. If you watch Gunsmoke, you'll see that is the plot of several episodes, by the way. It's not always that extreme, but such proud wrath has destroyed lives, it's ruined relationships, it's split churches, it's caused divorces, it's been behind the epidemic of young people shunning and disowning their parents and loved ones that won't join them in embracing their sodomite pride culture. Cancel culture itself is the ultimate cultural phenomena that demonstrates the truth of this proverb. But it's not just a cultural thing, it happens on an individual level. And these people are acting out with proud wrath. They really think that what they're doing is just and right. And I can tell you that they do get a name. One of the sad things is that women involved in cancel culture and who act out in proud wrath like this, they're usually called Karens. And I, with apologies, report that because the Karens I know, for the most part, are the opposite of proud and wrathful. But that's what happens, and you get a name. But the bottom line is that our proverb is absolute truth. And hopefully, you can understand it more clearly now when you read it. Proud and haughty scorner is his name, who dealeth in proud wrath. And now that we understand what proud wrath is, don't be that guy or don't be that gal. Amen.